What's up guys, Snazzy was here, and check it out, Apple's releasing a new iPhone. Yep, I paid $150 for this mock-up, just like every other YouTuber. They got theirs first, their videos are done, so here's the new iPhone, whatever. Let's talk about the rumors. A lot of them are probably accurate, a lot of them are probably crap. Oh no! Shiz! Did you get all the B-roll? Because that broke super badly. Looks like they painted the back of it with nail polish or something. But look, the front was glass. It broke, but... Okay, I'm a little bummed. There's going to be 3 new models this year, just as there was last year. Now, we don't know if it's going to be called iPhone 11, iPhone 11 with Roman numerals, just iPhone, I don't know. But for the purposes of this video, we'll call the 3 models iPhone 11, iPhone 11R, and iPhone 11 Max. Now, aesthetically, there's not really that much new. Save for the camera hump, it has the same look, mostly, as the previous generation of iPhones. There are several rumors that are saying that there will be a frosted back on the back of the 11 and the 11 Max, kind of like the rear glass on the Pixel 3, but Ming-Chi Kuo has not said anything on that. And Ming-Chi Kuo, we're going to be talking about him a lot today because he's kind of like the rumor guy that doesn't say that much, but when he does, it's basically always right. So speaking of Ming-Chi Kuo, let's talk about the updates that all of the models will be getting. The first one is, most obviously, a new SoC. We can predict this will be called the A13 or A13 Bionic. There aren't going to be many massive upgrades this year around. As we've seen the last couple of years, there have been diminishing returns. The chips do get faster, but not that much faster. Pretty standard upgrade. They're still on a 7nm process, which is awesome, but don't expect a massive jump in computational nor graphics performance. Now, many rumors are saying that there will be a slight bump in overall battery life, not just because the battery capacity itself will increase on these new phones, but because the new A13 chip focuses more on efficiency than more power. And so it should allow our batteries to last just a little bit longer, which is really nice. I appreciate that. Ming-Chi Kuo, who again is extremely reliable, is saying that Wi-Fi 6 will come as a first to Apple devices this year on Apple's iPhones. And if true, we should expect that basically every device from here on out released by Apple will be Wi-Fi 6 compatible, which is pretty sweet. We've been waiting on that. What else is new? Oh, faster LTE. With 4x4 MIMO technology, it also should mean that while still kind of using Qualcomm and Intel antennas over the next couple of years, the antenna tech should be improved. But it's not 5G, Kuo says. That's not coming until next year and maybe not even until 2021. So hopefully Apple does that sooner rather than later. Now, there are several rumors, interestingly enough, not from Kuo, so take this all with a grain of salt, but that like the Note 9, there will be bilateral wireless charging. This would mean that you could put your AirPods, for example, or another Qi-capable device on the back of your iPhone and it would charge. In theory, this sounds really cool. In practice, I don't really know how useful it is. Not just because wireless charging generates a lot of heat and is not efficient, so it would kill your iPhone battery pretty fast, but the AirPods Qi charger is so slow. And I think it's because the Qi coil inside the little tiny AirPods case is so small that it just can't charge that quickly. My AirPods take seemingly hours and hours and hours to charge. So kind of cool, but not really. Let's talk cameras. So the iPhone R will allegedly upgrade from a single to a dual camera system, which was originally released with the iPhone 7 Plus. There will be, your standard wide angle and telephoto cameras. Not that exciting. The 11 and the 11 Max, however, will have a triple lens camera setup. There is a lot of potential uses here beyond just, having 3 cameras. Many rumors have suggested over the last year and a half, 2 years, that Apple is working on 3D sensing and depth mapping that would integrate into some sort of ARKit hardware engine inside of the iPhone. Although the latest rumors suggest that that's probably being delayed until 2020. Whether or not Apple benefits ARKit usage with the 3 cameras remains to be seen, but that should be an up and coming at the very least. Now, there are rumors as to what that third camera lens will actually do. Most rumors suggest that it will be a telephoto lens, a 3x telephoto lens. It would have been cool to see a super telephoto like we've seen on the Huawei P30 and a couple of other more recent phones, you know, those really super zooms, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. Now, Ming-Chi Kuo actually stands apart from the crowd. Remember, he's generally right, although the fact that he's the only one that says this is kind of weird, is that the new camera will actually be a super wide-angle camera. I would honestly prefer this, just because telephoto lenses generally aren't that great on smartphones, and I really love, like LG does a super wide camera lens, and the new OnePlus phone does as well, the OnePlus 7 Pro. It's really cool, and I honestly prefer it. Okay, now the telephoto lenses that are available on both the 11R and, of course, the 11 and 11 Max will allegedly be significantly better in low light. One of the reasons I don't use the telephoto lens on my iPhone 10 that often is just because it's not very good, and I generally just walk closer to my subject with the wide angle lens. Now, the camera assembly is probably going to match the color of the phone. You'll see on my mock-up, it's just black. But I think that matching the color kind of looks weird and gross, like you have a bunch of weird little alien eyes on it. I prefer just the solid black glass. It looks bold, but I think that it looks better. What are your thoughts? Leave your comments down below. You like the color matching the back of the phone or just straight up black square? Okay, let's talk about the front camera. That should be moving from a 7 megapixel selfie camera to a 12 megapixel. This is good because in my opinion, the iPhone front-facing camera has been bad for several years and drastically in need of an upgrade. And seeing as though that's a camera that a lot of people use all the time, I'm really hoping we see that this year. Now, there are several rumors that are saying that the notch will be shrunk this year. Ming-Chi Kuo says absolutely not, so I'm inclined to believe him. Although, Kuo does say that the FaceID assembly will have a new flood illuminator, which according to him will, quote, improve Face ID's reliability by lowering the impact of invisible light from the environment. Okay, cool. So whatever that means, more reliable Face ID. Here's the bad news. 3D Touch, you know the thing I really love? Yeah, it's a goner. Thanks a lot, Apple. Why do you kill everything I love? Why do you hate me? Now, this is a sure thing because the iOS 13 betas are already signaling its death. Look, I love 3D Touch, and I use it all the time, not just to navigate around the keyboard and to select text, but to peek and pop. I use it all over. But many argue, and have argued since it was introduced, including myself, that it's just not intuitive and that people don't know about it. And that's true. But Apple has always had this system kind of where it's simple for beginners to pick up without really knowing anything, but people who are more advanced who want pro features, they exist, they can be accessed, and I felt like 3D Touch was one of those things. Everyone that I showed 3D Touch ended up falling in love with it. And here's the thing, and this is what's annoying, is they're not really getting rid of the entire 3D Touch functionality. iPhone XR doesn't have 3D Touch, it has what's called haptic touch. How does it work? Well, basically all it does is you hold down on the screen and it registers a long press as a touch, like a long touch as a press, I should say, and it would vibrate the haptic motor. And so you can actually push down on the iPhone XR's display and it almost kind of feels like 3D Touch, but it doesn't, it's not. iOS 13's human interface guidelines renamed this peeking and popping 3D Touch gesture as context menus. And context menus, as far as I can tell, are going to be the thing going forward, and they work exactly the same. And to be fair, the iPhone XR does work fine, but this just feels like a software fix to simulate hardware. And it's not like the hardware doesn't exist or hasn't existed or is too difficult. We've had it for years, and now they're taking it away. And the software fix just isn't the same. It's a worse experience, and that's bad. I would sooner Apple just remove the features altogether than make it a lousier experience. And what did they do with the old phones? Sabotage them? Or the old phones have 3D Touch and the new ones? It's just convoluted and weird. Just leave it in there. Okay, let's talk about the rumors that just straight up are not happening because there are so many of them. And I didn't list all of them because there are some that are outrageous. But here's a few that don't seem really grounded in truth. The iPhone 11R moving to OLED. That was a rumor earlier this year. Ming-Chi Kuo straight up said, no, that's not happening, but it is coming in 2020. Apple Pencil support. Ming-Chi Kuo said that's theoretically possible, but that Apple is not currently testing it on any devices, so I wouldn't anticipate Apple Pencil working on an iPhone anytime soon. Plus, if they were going to integrate Apple Pencil support, they should have like a little Apple Pencil Mini. If you're going to make your phone act like a Galaxy Note, make it like the Galaxy Note. You know what I mean? iPad style mute switch. This is a really weird one. And there's a few people that have been backing it up. Kuo says no. Here's the thing. iPad doesn't even have a mute switch anymore. So what's the purpose of moving back to that switch design? Clearly not for design parity, because it doesn't even exist. I am glad the hardware mute switch exists on the iPhone. I love it. They better not get rid of it. Android phones don't have it, except for the OnePlus, and that's the OnePlus's favorite feature of mine. But if they get rid of that, or if they change it, it's just like, don't fix what ain't broke. Okay, now let's talk about the things that I really, really want. Fix the friggin' camera sapphire, okay? The camera sapphire is garbage. It breaks all the time. I've had three iPhone 10s, and every single one of them, the sapphire has broken. I have friends everywhere where they're 10 and they're 10 Max and they're 10S and they're 10S Max. I have broken glass. Now, here's the thing. On such a large camera assembly, that's already kind of tricky. And now that they're making it much bigger, this big, massive square, it's really scary to think that the sapphire breaks as easy as it does. Now, if you get someone like Jerry Rig Everything, they'll say that the glass isn't actually sapphire. And I don't know whether or not that's true, but what I do know is that it breaks easily, and that is in line with how sapphire acts. Sapphire is very scratch resistant, similar to diamond, but it's not resilient to shattering. It's not shatterproof. Here's a fun bit of nerdy trivia for you. I'm a watch guy. I don't know if you've noticed. The Omega Speedmaster went to the moon. It was worn by astronauts. And they used tessellite, acrylic, instead of sapphire crystal. Now, Omega eventually developed a version with sapphire crystal and said, yo, NASA, you should use this. Sapphire is like really hard. NASA did their own testing and decided to stick with the acrylic or hessellite crystal because they determined that sapphire was pretty easy to break, and the idea of thousands of shards of little tiny glass particulates floating around in zero gravity was probably not a good idea. Now, I'm not telling Apple to go to acrylic, to go to plastic. Obviously, that's not the way to go. But this glass, as it currently is, breaks so easily, way too easily, and I really hope that Apple fixes it for the upcoming iPhones. Okay, USB-C. Please, Apple, give us friggin' USB-C. Kuo says that Apple was testing it earlier this year, or late last year actually, but then decided to proceed with Lightning. This breaks my heart. The iPhone is basically the only device that I have left that I use with frequency that charges over anything other than USB-C. At the very least, Apple, if you're going to stick with Lightning, stop freaking including that crappy 5-watt charger that's been included with the iPhone since 2008. Every other Android phone has all these sexy quick charge devices, and we still get this dinky little $1 Walmart brick. It's terrible. Apple this year, early this year, released an 18-watt USB-C charger and is really great. And it was designed primarily for the iPad and for the iPhone. And the iPhone can charge up to 18 watts. So just include that charger in the box. It's USB-C capable, include a USB-C to Lightning cable in the box, and let us plug in our phones to our laptops. Apple doesn't even make a laptop anymore with that USB or with USB-A. So why keep including one in the box? It's just stop. Anyways, that's my rant for the day. The new iPhones, they look good. They don't look super exciting. They don't look revolutionary. If you've seen leaks of the new Samsung Galaxy S11, boy, the iPhone sure looks old, sure looks outdated. So on a scale of 1 to X, I gotta give this phone a 6. But, you know, I'll be buying one and I'll be using it because I'm just a stupid Apple idiot. Well, folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Give it a like. If you didn't, well, that other button seems to work okay too. Get subscribed for more awesome tech videos like these. But most importantly, and always, as always, mourn with me over my broken $150 iPhone mock-up. Stay snazzy.